Your contract is cheaper than everybody else. This is how you go viral and make it on the news.
The couple came off as credible. They had all sorts of social media postings and well-produced videos. They looked legitimate, but it turned out to be a scam covering millions, multi-millions of dollars and dozens of victims. For more than 30 years, this Euless property has been home for Shelley Bish's family.
We moved here in '92 when our kids were little.
A few years back, Shelley and her husband changed things up.
It would make sense to sell our home to our daughter and her husband and their 3 kids and multi-generational live.
This is the status a couple of hours ago.
That change involved a $200,000 remodeling project.
This isn't done yet. It doesn't have any stability underneath it.
An incomplete project mirroring stories of dozens of families. All say they worked with Chris and Raquelle Judge.
We'll tune in for another segment of the all-new, brand-new James Area Show, where not only do we talk about the things that are bothering me, but we also talk about the things that are bothering you. And on tonight's show, y'all, yeah, listen, I ain't even had to go out of the state for this one. Looks like I went right up the block. Got them, y'all, and they slicking the snot on the doorknob.
A Fort Worth couple has pleaded guilty to being involved in part of that scheme.
A part of the scheme? Ooh, these news people, they're going to have to do a better job of explaining this. But just hang tight, Steve. I'm gonna get back to you because we want to make sure that the story is told correctly. Allow me to introduce you to these really, really nice people that we're going to be talking about.
Hey guys, I'm Chris.
And I'm Raquelle. We're with the Judge DFW Real Estate Group.
They promised below market prices, completed in 4 to 6 months. They're now facing federal prison time for their actions.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, y'all, this one right here, it ain't looking good. Unbelievable. All right, North Texas, listen, we need to talk because on tonight's episode, it's called Everybody Want to Build and Be a Contractor and Architect. Everybody want to be a contractor and an architect until they find out Bureau Incorporated pulls up as a contractor, y'all. Let me share something with you for a second. Building a house ain't hard, but it's stressful. You're trusting somebody with your life savings, your sanity, and your family's whole future. The Texas Board of Architects and Examiners told him back in 2022, stop it. You need to cut it. Stop calling yourself a contractor. And he said, no, that's not confidence to me, y'all. That's what I call criminal optimism. Over 40 families, nearly $5 million of unfinished homes everywhere. I mean, you got houses over here ain't got windows, some ain't got doors. They everywhere. You got lumber just sitting on the ground, just underneath the tree, just talking to each other saying, oh, we done died for nothing. Here's the thing, y'all. Here's how people get caught up. You know, a lot of these guys, you know, they done stole some pictures off of social media. They were recommended through social media. They got clean pictures and the prices, they're lower than any and everybody else's. Now, I'm going to say this real slow. If somebody is cheaper than any other contractor in North Texas, then that ain't no steal. That's not a deal. That's what I call a red flag wrapped up into a payment plan with a down payment. The realtors, they help bring these deals. You know, the pictures, they look professional. Not saying that they didn't committed any crime, but, you know, this is how credibility gets borrowed. License, permits, inspection. You know, and it's kind of funny how, you know, we just jump the rope. We just jump the broom. And we skip a wall there. It's unbelievable how people skip that. You know, then somebody shows up like Mr. Chris Judge comes around and says, listen, don't worry about it. Go to bed, get you some sleep. I'll take care of it. I'm an architect. You may as well go to bed. Architect of what, my friend? Chaos? Bankruptcy? And let's be clear. You know, I don't even think that was a solo act. At this point, we're talking about 4.8 million here, y'all. 5 million, all right, 5 million, rounded up. According to the federal prosecutors, his wife was a part of the scheme as well.
A contemporary floor plan that comes with all the latest features.
Using social media to help promote their business.
And you get to move in knowing that you don't have to make any repairs.
Gotta be the same money, the same bank account, the same lifestyle. That sounds like a team effort to me. They ain't built now house. They built lifestyle for themselves. Mortgage payments, living expenses. My favorite, y'all. This is my favorite right here. They done ran out there and got this some plastic surgery. Somebody ain't got no kitchen cabinets, but somebody faced and been snatched. Hundreds of violations. At this point, the city to stop coming out doing the inspections. They done had so many violations. They just started documenting hundreds of code violations to find out the Federal Bureau Incorporated and pulled up. Now, Mr. Chris Judge is facing up to 20 years in college, and Miss Raquelle Judge looks like they're saying she's facing 5 years in college. And now that's a long time. That's a long time for them to be sitting up in there thinking about all them unfinished bathrooms. As a contractor who actually finishes jobs, let me leave y'all with this. If the price is too good and the Instagram is just too polished, and everybody else smiling out here and collecting and picking up checks, and except for you, and ain't nothing been built, you should have been asking questions a long time ago, because everybody want to sell you a dream and build you a dream until it's time for them to build that damn house. Remember that red flag that's wrapped up in the payment plan? Yeah. Find out that Federal Bureau Incorporated, they just unwrapped that. Unbelievable. And that's why people call me before they sign off on anything, just to get a second opinion on what they getting ready to jump off the bridge into. Maybe some rocks down there. This could happen to any one of us, because a lot of us come from the era to where if, you hired a company, they said they were going to do something, they did it, you paid them, everybody walked away. Now, not one time in all the investigations that I've done here, not one time have I heard anything about the architect, Mr. Judge, Chris Judge, and Raquelle Judge. Not one time have I heard any of these victims say anything about they did not pay, which leads you to believe that they've done everything in their power to make sure that they didn't end up on the news. But here we are. I don't even believe it, y'all. This one right here, sounds too hard to be true. I got to hear from the victims before I believe this.
We did have to file bankruptcy, and we're dealing with that for another 5 years.
Jeremy Congleton says he hired the judge's company to design and construct his family's home in Decatur, but the judges never finished it. His family lost $250,000. His two daughters, excited to live in a new home, forced to live with him and his wife in a camper for 18 months.
Christmas for about 3 years.
And that's it. Then they walked off.
Kristen Newman says this is how the judges left her home construction project in Cleburne. She lost roughly $200,000 and spent the same amount of money for someone else to finish the job.
This isn't about bad business decisions or being a bad builder. This is about, conscious decisions.
40. We ain't talking about one or two, y'all. We talking about 40 victims.
Of nearly $5 million by the judges. Broken promises of newly constructed homes and renovations between 2020 and 2023.
I kept believing, like, okay, we'll write another check.
Kaylee Simmons says it's unclear if the judges began with fraudulent intentions or got in over their heads. What she does know is at some point there was clear intention to not follow through.
At this point, who cares? Look, they did it already. I mean, who cares if they started out with the right intentions? The end thereof was theft, and they've admitted to it. Not being part of the problem, Steve, but the whole problem. I don't know who else gonna be involved. Who else gonna be involved? Is it Mickey Mouse? Is it Tom and Jerry? It's got to be Tom and Jerry, because they ain't said nothing yet.
We'll never get back what we lost.
But even if some money is recouped, Shelley says what was really stolen from her was time.
Yeah, we're gonna be following this one right here. I think they've got some court dates coming up. One of them coming up in April, which is a couple months away, and the other one is gonna be a little bit closer, towards the end of the year. But we're gonna follow this, y'all, because I want to make sure that the homeowners, they get justice, because I don't wish this on anybody. I sympathize on both sides of this particular coin, because I am a contractor and I am a homeowner as well. And usually in most cases, you run into a problem as a contractor with getting the money from the homeowner after doing all of this work. I don't know some contractors out there, y'all, that's saying, hey, listen, I ain't gonna bring a guy out on the job. I'm not coming to the job site until you give me 50% of the payment up front. But who in their right mind is going to give you, as a stranger, 50% of the payment when 50% of the work ain't been done? I get it that a lot of contractors out there that are saying, hey, listen, I'm not bringing a nail, or I'm not removing a shingle, or I'm not even showing back up to the job site until you give me 50% of the down payment. And then I'll start, and ain't no work been done. 50% of the work ain't done. 10% of the work ain't done. You basically just wrote them a free check. You flushed the money. That's what you did. And that's why people call me, because this is unfamiliar territory. I don't know too many of you guys out there that has been in a position to see all the things that goes on in this industry. Unfortunately, I done seen quite a bit of it. But y'all hang tight. There's more victims, and we want to hear from them. They weren't the only one. They was rolling the dice. They was hitting too. 7-Eleven, shake them up, shake them.
And the question is, what would you do if you paid for a dream home and it never got built? That's exactly what dozens of families across North Texas say happened to them. Federal court records say Christopher and Raquelle Judge, owners of Judge DFW LLC, collected nearly $5 million from 40 clients with no intent to finish the work. Prosecutors say clients were lured in through social media with low bids and promises of quick turnarounds. Court documents show much of that money was allegedly spent on personal expenses, including rent, mortgages, tuition, and luxury items. The Texas Board of Architecture had previously warned Christopher Judge for calling himself a licensed architect when he wasn't.
Criminal is where they spend it on a lavish lifestyle, which we see a lot, personal expenses, which that's criminal. It's a complete shame. The customer needs to know what's happening on their house, what's happening with their money.
I got to break this down for y'all to make sure y'all understand the numbers. He said you can pick your own lot and build a beautiful custom home for around $300,000. That right there, y'all, that's red flag number one. Here's why. There's nowhere in town you're going to be able to find a lot for under $100,000. $300K, that ain't going to work. You'll work side by side with an architect to create the perfect floor plan for you. The boy ain't even had no license, y'all. That's red flag number two. This home could be built in 90 to 100 days. You can't get no house built in 30 to 90 days nowhere. First of all, you got scheduling, you got permits. In some cities, in some states, y'all, permitting takes at least 30 to 45 days. So, and when you done gave them this $250,000, they over there doing this. Ain't a board been nailed. Ain't no nails been brought to the job site. Ain't no sheetrock on the ground. It's in the same place you left it when you left it 60 days ago. Ain't no permits been pulled. You can't do nothing. The only upfront cost is going to be the earnest money and the builder fee. You have different options. Which ones? To write you another $250,000 check? I know these custom builders, and I can help you with the entire process to make it easy for you. You can go on Main Street in Frisco. You can go to any Home Depot and round up you 4 or 5 guys, and that's their crew. Just like homeowner number one said, when they came out, things were going well. They came out and they were taking everything down to the stud. Yeah, I'm going to tell y'all something. Listen, the demo, that's the easy part. I know a whole bunch of people that know how to tear up some shit. They can't put it back together. Building a home may be easier than you think. I don't know, y'all. At this point, man, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7 red flags, but they got a heart beside it. Explain that one in the comments.
Nearly 4 dozen North Texans are out a combined $5.4 million after federal investigators say a Fort Worth couple promised home construction projects that were never completed.
This is where one of the pocket doors is supposed to be. See how you can just put your fingers down in that?
The list of headaches is long.
This is exactly how it came.
Nearly $200,000 later, with about 90% of the bid paid, Simmons says only half of the work was done.
This is why you gotta have somebody in your back pocket that you can call when you're getting ready to go through these projects. Always good to get, a second opinion from a professional. Hell, you call the attorney when you're in trouble, when you need him. You get ready to get a divorce, you call the attorney for that. You just don't jump out there and have a divorce without having someone that can represent you or that can shed some light on a whole nother side in which you unfamiliar with. It baffles me how we just jump over the broom and just jump off the bridge. And we don't even know what's underneath that bridge, but that's what we do.
Ultimately, they only got to framing and putting a roof on the house.
What he owes me and what we've paid out of pocket and credit card debt, having to file bankruptcy is about $250,000.
Unbelievable.
Court documents show they spent $82,000 on Amazon purchases, $27,000 on their own mortgage, and $10,000 on plastic surgery.
How could somebody do that to another person? It's not like, he knew me from Adam to be able to even say, I'm going to just go steal from that person.
Well, ma'am, listen, let's just say this. It's not that they just didn't pick you randomly. This is what they do. This was intentional. It wasn't random. They didn't pick you. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't random. You had money. They saw you had money. You needed some work done. Y'all came together. Y'all made a deal. Win, lose, or draw. It was a bad deal, though, but y'all made a deal. You fulfill your end. They ain't slung the hammer not one time. The roof, you got a roof. You paid $250,000 for a roof. And with all due respect, I sympathize with each one of the victims because no one should have to go through this when all they wanted to do was get some work done on their home.
And I think that is what is the most hurtful. You just pick somebody at random to just go steal from.
Kristen Newman was forced to sell, moving in with her parents. Jeremy Congleton says his family lived in this RV for 18 months.
Wow. 18 months, y'all. Unbelievable.
While he finished his Decatur home on his own. Simmons says they are among the lucky ones. While her once retired parents have gone back to work, they were eventually able to move in.
Oh, man, this is unbelievable. He taking people out of retirement, making them go back to work. Ooh, they was getting it. This was a power couple right here for real.
Their money's likely gone for good. Still, there's hope for justice.
Yeah, it's gone. You can kiss it goodbye. It's gone, bye-bye.
But at least, they're going to have to serve some time.
Yeah, they're going to serve some time, man. They're going to college for sure. Alleged is what I would say we would use when we were unsure if they were guilty or not. Man, these people done already pled guilty. $4.8 million. You heard me? Yesterday, Christopher Judge pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and faces up to 20 years in federal prison. Raquelle, on the other hand, pled guilty on December the 17th, 2025, just before Christmas, to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud that subjects her to a maximum of 5 years in federal prison. They also face monetary penalties, restitution, and terms of supervised release. Sentencing for Raquelle Judge is scheduled for April the 14th, 2026. Y'all go ahead and stick a pin, set a reminder for April the 14th, 2026. We're going to follow this story. And sentencing for Christopher Judge is scheduled for May the 12th, 2026. Both sentencing hearings will occur before the United States District Judge Terry R. Means. But I want to hear y'all thoughts. What would you do? Until the next time, y'all, like the show, share the show, and don't be afraid to ask for some help. Otherwise, it might be you.